You know,
Shaqiri did not have a bad season.
yeah, and it's like, I guess as Fire fans, we're expecting a high price tag player like him to be like Zidane, almost like Ronaldinho, or be our
Yes.
Messi. And
Zlatan
it's kind of,
Ibrahimovic. Where's our Zlatan?
yeah, but I think it's also unfair to put
That's
those
Joseph
kind of,
Martinez, bro.
yeah,
That's our Zlatan.
you know, at the same time, I think it's unfair to put that kind of, expectation on a guy like Shaqiri to make things happen when, besides having Mueller and besides having Guti, and in some cases Navarro with him, he really didn't have a whole lot of help in the attacking role, in the striker role. We were depending on John Duran, an 18-year-old kid, to score goals for us, which he did, but he was also getting injured a lot. Teams were really, really manhandling him, and at the same time, we were also hoping that Casper would score goals like he did in Philly, and he didn't.
Well, wait, did he score goals in Philly?
Apparently, it's one of those weird situations where I think he had a good season with Philly, and after that, it was kind of just periodically where he was scoring goals. But then again, Philly has a lot of talent, so that could be overshadowed by the other players in the team that are probably scoring more goals than he was.
So wait, hold on. I have to say hello.
Hey, everybody. It's
okay.
Toke.
So have we done enough hand wringing over Gaston yet? I've
Not
been in and out
enough.
of the stream.
Not enough.
Not enough hand wringing.
Dude. Like, I'd like to be able to actually talk and have things to say, but I'm quite literally so gobsmacked that, like, I feel like it's one of these things, like, I'm gonna wake up and it's not real. But yeah, God, it gives me no hope for next year. Because, like, we talked about the other signings he made, it was like dummy. It was like on point that anybody's gonna make those signings. But now you re-sign Gaston. It's just like, I feel like this started under Nelson and it's never stopped, which is we're short players and we're quite literally trying to just fill a team. And it's like, oh, because, like, who was it? I heard some cat, maybe, I don't remember who it was like, well, I mean, the front six is set, I guess. It's like, for what? To finish 12th again? Because, like, they ain't going to get any better next year.
It's funny you mentioned. I think you might have heard that from like Jiggly's podcast, like Sad
Yeah, come
Boys.
on. I'm not trying to give everybody free pub.
I'm just saying. You know what? This is, we're all Fire fans here. We need the free pub because there's not a lot of
I
Fire.
feel you.
We don't really have a whole lot of Fire fans. And any given random day, you go to Chicago, right? You wait in a bus stop. You talk to someone about the Cubs. Chances are they're gonna reply back like, "Oh, I'm a Cubs, blah blah blah," or Sox, blah blah blah. You tell them, "Oh, what about the Fire? The TV show?"
Yeah. Who?
Who? The Great Chicago Fire? No. So we need, that's why I always, sometimes, it gets, sometimes on Twitter, every now and then, there's drama within Fire fans.
Right.
And it's like, come on. Come on. But that's besides the point. So, yes. So, yeah, I know exactly who mentioned that. And yes, I did give him free pub. Cool guy.
What is the name of that show? I completely forget. Oh, Sad Boys.
Bad Boys.
Yeah.
I did talk to him on Saturday. I actually gave him my drink tickets to him. Unfortunately, I gave it to him when the bar was closing, so I don't know if he,
I mean, he's a kid, right?
He's 21.
He'll make it. No, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, he's a kid. He'll get to the bar in time. Trust me.
Yeah. But so go on, as you were saying.
I don't know, man. I was meandering into a point of being upset about something that really doesn't affect my life too hardcore. But if we're for real, dude, it just, like, Gaston Jimenez is like the canary in the coal mine. This means this means Heights is here at least through next year.
Yep.
That means no Joseph Martinez, no big DP signing. Shaqiri is gone.
Do you
bro.
really want Joseph Martinez, guys? Like, he's broken parts for Atlanta.
He is, but that's the problem, right? The Fire would just sign Joseph Martinez.
We got Philadelphia's broken parts, and they're doing fine. Yeah. We're not with Philadelphia's broken parts. What do you do with broken parts? You stay broken, unless you're a great engineer.
Our broken parts for their broken parts, maybe, but I don't know. And going back to the Gaston situation, you kind of have to wonder if maybe Hyde kind of realized he really, really messed up by re-signing him. That he's trying to find a way to kind of get rid of that DP tag on him, which he did.
Yeah, but quite literally, it's like, had he done nothing, he just had to pretend the situation didn't exist, and Gaston Jimenez would not be employed by the Fire at all.
But there's a significant loss associated with that. I mean, like, he's basically waving goodbye to $5 million in his head. But like, you did wave goodbye to $5 million. You bought him. You're not getting it back. He had buyer's remorse, and his buyer's remorse led him to try to sign him.
So I heard you guys talking earlier, and I think this actually wraps back around to what I think the Fire should be. Because, peep this, man, domestic success is enough for me. You know what I mean? Like, at least with the size this league is. But I think the success with the Fire would be, instead of flipping houses, right? Instead of going to South America and trying to flip houses, you just develop the talent that you sell. Then you sign mid-level CONCACAF talent that will help you win games, and like the occasional older European experienced player. Don't make him the best player on the team, but
Francisco Calvo's mid-level CONCACAF talent.
Oh,
okay, above average CONCACAF level talent. Then please do not know Francisco Calvo. I will.
You said mid-level.
Don't bring that guy
talent, and that is what Francisco Calvo is.
I'm James. Francisco Calvo is below the Mendoza line. He is not the Mendoza line.
Okay, I get what you guys are saying, but it is true. And the fact is that one thing that's been kind of obvious the past few seasons is that the Fire have finally started developing some of their academy players, getting them more involved in the first team. And so far we've had success. You know, guys like Guti, Gaga. Now we got Brady. Moniz, made a statement on Sunday about that. And yes, we're getting those guys involved. And you are right. If we get the right players to, kind of help them develop along the way, then great. And this is probably the first time we've seen something like this. In seasons prior, you can even think about the old regime with Andrew Hoffman as the owner. When we had academy players, we normally will sign maybe one guy. And that guy...
But let's go back before him, though. Like, we developed talent. And, like, the city of Chicago, with its affiliations to the Fire, developed talent. And it's now at a point where the American player has value on the market, finally. Yep. And so, like I said, I think too many teams are trying to do the Barco because we're all trying to do the Almiron. And you end up with Barcos. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to flip cars. They're trying to flip it. And I feel like you just got to develop it. And that's why Ajax is so successful.
Seattle Sounders developed Jordan Morris, though. And
the Roldan brothers, right?
Yeah, and the Roldan brothers.
And the Roldan brothers.
Roldan and, oh, crap. The DeAndre Yedlin.
Yep. And Yedlin.
Which I actually, if I have a microphone in front of my face, I'm going to say something that's probably unpopular. I dislike all of the DeAndre Yedlin slander out there in these streets. I think he has been a fine player.
He's a walking red card.
Well, dude, that makes you think, like, could Demo play in this kind of, with VAR? You know what I'm saying? Could any of those cats?
You guys think it's a mistake leaving Brandon Vasquez home?
No.
No.
No, it's like, even if I'm upset with how Bearhalter has integrated talent. He is so far on the fringes of not integrated. It's just like, give it a whack at 2026, bro.
Right.
Like, just that happens all the time. I mean, you know, like a Clint Dempsey, we thought of him as like the next like the next wave after Donovan. He was only a year younger. He kind of got caught by the timing of things. You know what I mean? So,
right.
You know, like the Brandon Vasquez is going to compete for a spot on that team. He's going to probably do what is the new norm. 3 or 4 solid years in MLS, winning a couple, you know, winning some personal accolades and maybe a trophy or two, and then getting sold. You know what I mean?
I think at this point,
I'm sorry. Go on, guys.
I was gonna say at this point, especially when it comes to the U.S. men's national team, you want the guys that are starting, the starting 11. You want those guys to be playing in the best league possible.
Yes. And MLS is not the best league possible. Sorry.
Hold on, man. I don't mean to cut you off so often here, but I slightly disagree. I want to hear why you think that's the proper thing, because like I do disagree actually.
Okay, so let me reiterate that, and let me clarify that. So you know, maybe you might get away with having maybe 1 or 2 MLS players in the lineup, but if you're gearing towards the World Cup, you want the guys on the starting 11 that have fought against the guys you're potentially going to play against in the World Cup. The guys that are playing in the Premier League, the guys that are playing in La Liga and Serie A. You want the hard tackles. You want the guys that, you know, unless you get an elbow straight to the face, you don't fall down. You want to be on guys that are at the same level you're currently playing, which should be the best level possible. Because there's a difference.
I would say there's only probably a handful of countries, and not even all the ones that you would think, that have that luxury.
So you just made a case for Tim Ream. Let's go.
Well, Tim Ream. I am the first one to admit I was upset with Tim Ream for a hot second, but I do see the value in Tim Ream. Tim Ream does not need to be the starter on every game, but he can start a game, and he can be a very strong voice in that locker room, and he can come in and shut it down late in the game when he's still got some gas.
Because there's a difference between a guy that's been playing in the Premier League for like 5-10 years, being the voice in the locker room, versus the guy that has played his MLS his whole career, and him trying to be the leader.
I'll tell you, this is where I disagree with that slightly. It requires it requires us to think a little larger than the U.S. men's national team. How many countries have we seen with team full of farmers, you know, come together with that one superstar? Like, I mean, I'm gonna get all sorts of hate for this, but Poland has not been that exciting. I don't think Poland is that good of a game.
I think, well, the thing about Poland is a lot of their players, they tend to play in, you know, I don't want to say fringe leagues, but, you know,
fringe leagues.
I think a few of them play in the French league. But their lineup is kind of a mixture of guys that are playing across Europe, maybe not regular starters for their teams in Europe, and then the rest of the lineup is probably made up of guys that play in the Polish league.
Well, I'm sorry, I had the technical thing here, but I feel, but that's what I'm saying too, is like, we've had this conversation about everybody freaking out about how and where everybody plays, but look at Switzerland. There was never a conversation once about, holy crap, Shaqiri's going to MLS. He's no longer valid. But we do that stuff all the time to guys. Like, look at Pulisic. He's at the height of the mountain. He needs to take a step back at like that next step down of a team, and then he'll get signed by a Barcelona and go right back. You know, that's how this works for these guys. I mean, in theory, there's another timeline where Nottingham Forest is in fucking 7th, and it looks like a brilliant move for what's his face. You know what I mean?
So, historically speaking, you know, if we're talking about the competitiveness of the U.S. men's national team, if we're talking about the U.S. men's finally, you know, lifting up the coveted World Cup trophy, we have to look back at all the teams that have won the World Cup trophies in the past. and their rosters, you know. And I think I could probably name the countries that have won the World Cup with like both my hands, and it's usually the same ones: Argentina, Brazil, France, Germany, England, Italy, Spain.
Do you think that we're gonna get a new one this year?
That was it, wasn't it?
I think that might be it. I mean, if you're looking back, maybe Uruguay in the early days, but that's usually the same teams that win the World Cup, and then those teams are, you know, those teams are usually stacked with guys that play regularly on their club teams, and they tend to play in the highest level possible.
They do, but let's digress here, man. Look at all the English cats. Like, even just for example, like, look at the cats on even Welcome to Wrexham. There's a few of those cats who have opportunities in like a league that isn't the very closest to amateur soccer, but they're still there because they ain't going nowhere else. They're gonna stay in the UK. They don't want to move nowhere. Well, things are hella different in South America. You always bounce from Brazil.
They all want to get out. Yeah.
They all want to get out,
but like, you know, you got plenty of cats in Scotland willing to just stay at Rangers instead of take that move to like a Nottingham Forest and maybe get relegated, right? They'd rather be a winner. Same thing with like a, you know, even just Italy. You know, like I don't think Serie A is all that right now, but the Italian guys aren't going nowhere else.
But let me say this though: we talk about Brazilian guys trying to get out of Brazil, or guys from Argentina trying to get out from Argentina. You know, the big, you know, thing about that is that they're wanted in Europe. It's not like, because you could say the same thing about players in China. There's plenty of players in China that will love to play in the Premier League, but nobody's bothering to sign a player from China.
But I'm saying that there are French players and Dutch players and Italian players and players in Belgium who would stay in their domestic league to be a part of the big fish in the smaller pond than join relegation yo-yoers.
But the thing about that is that those players, you know, they are born in countries that have really good leagues that tend to fight for Champions League final spots.
True, but I would contest that Argentina and Brazil have decent leagues, but there is more of a culture of bouncing. That's what I'm getting at. I don't think necessarily. I mean, yes, in theory, it would be amazing if we had 26 dudes who played in England, and then they were our national team. But I don't think it's necessary. I think the level that you play at, I think there's a good 12 leagues you could probably, and I'm just throwing that number out there, but it includes like the championship. I think there's a solid 12 leagues with MLS included in the world that you could play in and contribute and play on quote unquote the largest stage against the Neymars and, you know, Van Dykes and whoever else of the world.
MLS is absolute bottom of the barrel of that list. But
here's the thing though, like going back to the players that are playing, yeah, there are players that are gonna stay their whole careers in Holland and Belgium and France and Spain and all that, and even English players. And the thing about the English Premier League, or the league itself, the whole entire league, is that they're the richest league in the world. You know, they could afford to keep a lot of their talent in house. It's very rare to see an English player actually go out and play at a different league, like for example, you know, in Dortmund or in Roma.
But yeah, no, that is pretty odd. That is very rare.
But the reason they do
that was my point about the cats in the National League and League 2 and 1. Like, Aqua Fenwa could have been a freaking monster and celebrity in the States. He probably could have played first division football in America. Like, remember, there was an interview with Bradley Wright Phillips. I think the cat was just standing outside of the club, but somebody was interviewing Bradley Wright Phillips. He's like, man, I told anybody who would listen, why bounce around League 2 and League 1 when you can come and play in the MLS and play at a higher level and get paid way better? Well, yeah, because it is a higher level than those leagues, but those guys don't want to leave home. They don't need to leave home because the Premier League carrot is there. That's why I think, like, it's irrelevant if you have all of your best players in the best. Well, it's not irrelevant. Like, it is a benefit, but I don't think you have to. We have seen plenty of teams do very well in the World Cup / win the World Cup with high levels of domestic and or lower league players.
I mean, if you look at France, you know, they won the World Cup last. You know, all those guys in that starting 11 play for big clubs. You know, look at Germany.
They play for big clubs, but not all in the biggest league. They got cats in France. I heard that was a farmers league.
Didn't anybody notice that PSG didn't win the French league last season or this season or whatever?
No, that was 2 years ago. It was Lille. It was a freaking Tim Weah is a French Ligue 1 champion.
Yeah, so the thing is, I'm saying, you know, if, like, for example, do you think it's a bad career move if you stay in Borussia Dortmund your whole entire career, battling out with Bayern Munich for the German league championship, maybe trading wins, you know, for league championships, or even fighting for a Champions League final? You think that's a bad deal versus leaving Dortmund and joining some mid-tier English Premier League team that might not never see a Champions League game ever while you're there?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Some cats are fine with staying, you know, where they are with the better situation.
But the thing is that Dortmund and Bayern Munich and the Premier League, those are some of the best teams in the world and some of the best leagues in the world. So if you're staying with the best of the best, then why wouldn't you stay with the best, you know? So
I feel you. I hear you. I've seen too many teams play, you know, like...
Yeah, I get it. And
I mean, like, look at a Ghana, like, when they were really Ghana, like, 2011, like...
That's because Michael Essien, right?
Well, yeah, but like what I'm saying, they had that one star, and then they had cats playing all over, from, like, second division French league to, like, you know, other huge clubs, but also other smaller clubs.
But here's the thing, Ghana didn't win the World Cup. No, we should be aspiring to win the World Cup. And the thing is that the only teams outside of the, you know, the big, you know, teams in Europe, you know, Germany, France, the only teams that probably could get away for winning a World Cup while having some, not all, some of the players play domestically is Brazil and Argentina. Because the Argentine Premier League, or Primera División, that's a really good league. Brazilian league, oh, man, you have talent for days in that league. So those are probably the only two countries that could actually win the World Cup while having some of their talent play in their local leagues.
All right, I will concede that point to you, but man, I'm not even thinking about winning the World Cup. I'm thinking about quarters and semis, because, like, honestly, man, like, we're not there yet. We just aren't, and that's okay.
No.
Like,
in the words of Taylor Twellman, what are we doing then? What are we doing?
No, that's what we're working towards, bro. It's
yeah.
We are working towards. But...
It takes a minute. Like, we can't say, like, I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like being competitive and like, the two things I want most is to shed this inferiority complex that I feel like we have with the rest of the world about having to prove ourselves. And because honestly, I feel like now at this point, the most disrespected footballer on the planet is the Asian footballer currently. Like, for real.
I mean, I don't know why. You know, Japan tends to develop a lot of good players. South Korea tends to.
But they both have heavy domestic rosters. Now, I know Japan sent a bunch of cats over to Scotland not too long ago.
Yeah.
But that's like a singular pipeline to Celtic.
Dude, some of these South Koreans, they're legends like in Man U. So, you know, there's talent. Hold on, man. Legend, that's throwing that around. That's kind of the conversation we had before when I say, like, a Pulisic, like a McKinney, like, these cats are now guys. That dude was a guy. He had a solid career. He was a fan favorite at a time. Like, that's a guy. That's a guy who had a career, man, and that's now what our players are viewed as. And we're going to have plenty of those guys now. Right? Well, let me ask you this. I mean, compare that guy with what we currently have. Who would you take?
Dude, I'm high on this talent. I think these kids are really good, man.
I'm high on it too.
I think these kids are going to be something, and I feel like Greg Berhalter, as far as our national program, have stunted it, but nobody's going to stunt the talent. You know what I mean? Like, Berhalter should not have been trusted with this.
I know. And the thing is, no, I was going to say this. The thing is that if we really want to be successful, if we really want to have the best American players on hand, you know, we really have to have expectations for these guys to go play in Europe. I think the days where we could get away with having MLSers on a national team to go to the World Cup, I think those days are gone now, especially after what happened.
Why? Look at the cats that are coming to the MLS. Like, pardon me. You know, we got Insigne. You know, he was only 31 coming over here, man. Like, that's 31. These cats are still playing for their national team. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, Shaqiri. Like, there are Vela.
Even on a horrible fire team, Shaqiri's still the captain.
What's the common denominator in all this? Is that those guys, some of them might not see another World Cup again, and some of them on their last World Cup. Nobody.
Maybe. I think some of that is changing, man, because there was a time where Jovinka made that move, and the Italian coach was like, "You never getting called in," and it's like, okay, but I think that those days are gone. Like, you can't judge what the Mexican coach would do when your two examples are Chicharito and Vela. You know what I'm saying? Because those two are like that. Those are extenuating circumstances. Look at oh God, what the hell was his name? The jerk, the center guy who played at Barcelona. Marquez. Yeah, he got called in constantly, even underperforming with New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does Major League Soccer need to be to get people to be okay
get rid of the
with
salary cap. Get rid of the stupid salary structure. Let it be like
so they could spend more on overseas talent.
No, I don't think that. I think so that they can spend more on a. Because I would love to see Major League Soccer stay fucking smart. Like, you have to rival and become good in CONCACAF. Meaning beat out Mexico.
There's ways to do that with having a salary cap. Without having a salary cap, I mean.
Oh no, we gotta get rid of the salary cap, bro.
You could actually institute like a regulation where you have to have youth players, you know, in your starting lineup, or you could add rules like that to encourage not only buying players, not only buying talent off, you know, foreign talent, but also encouraging youth academy products to develop. There's ways
I
to
totally
deal with
agree,
it.
man. Like,
There's ways to do that.
I think already, and this, like, I'm not trying to be a super Major League Soccer homer. Like, it's funny, I say this stuff, but like Jordan Morris, Paul Areola, Leggett, other cats, like on the Fire, oh my God, sign me up all day, every day. Give those guys to me. As soon as they put on the U.S. jersey, I'm like, nah, dog. So I get it, but I feel like Major League Soccer for sure. Starting 11, FIFA rules where nobody gets tired. You know, video game rules where nobody gets tired, right? They're just as good as a lot of what we consider that next level of leagues below the top 5. But where they completely crumble and fall apart is 12 through 27 or whatever, because there's the salary cap.
Right.
They got rid of this, that. If they got rid of the salary cap, sure, one or two of these teams are gonna die.
And what the thing is, that too, because what's gonna happen is that you're gonna have teams that don't have really big markets. They're not heavy spenders, and I think at that point it's probably gonna force them to be smart and probably develop in-house talent. And they might end up.
Then you get rid of those homegrown rules. Yeah. And then RSL can just like not pay their players and pay 17,000 scouts to watch every 5-year-old soccer game that exists in the country. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. And not only that, but then it's like, you know, those teams that will probably do that will end up becoming selling teams. You know.
Well, I love how Dallas is a selling team. Like I've enjoyed watching what Dallas has been doing. I want selling selling teams. I want buying teams, man. We talked about my jealousy of the Seattle Sounders, but like, just think if the governor was off on some of those teams.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
and it's possible to be a selling team and still be successful. I mean, it takes a bit of finesse and a bit of
that's where you're
smarts.
developing the kids.
Yeah.
Like, you sign Shaqiri, but you also have like 6 Gagas ready to go. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So
that's that's the IX.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because IX does splash some cash. They'll sign some cats.
But they're smart about it.
Right.
They fill out the holes in their roster with the veterans. They say, oh, this guy's going to be coming up. This guy's coming up. We'll give this guy a chance.
They will normally
Here's our obvious hole.
Yep. They will normally pair up, you know, if they sign a veteran for a certain role, they're going to look for any talent they have on that role and be like, you know what? Watch him. Or they might talk to the veteran and be like, hey, I'll need you to mentor this kid. Don't worry, you're still going to get paid. You're probably still going to start, but eventually, you know, you're going to retire.
I'm going to butt in and say something about this whole IX thing.
Connor.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. It's Connor.
The Columbus man. That yellow
it's the
team.
Columbus guy. Mustard team, the piss team, whatever you call it.